Gerry Kelly, following yesterday's agreement, where are we now in the legacy of the past?
Well, it's very, very disappointing for the families, and we've been in touch with them, especially over the last week. We've been in touch with organisations around the families and families themselves. They're very, very disappointed we weren't able to come to a conclusion on that there. But they also, I mean, we were there speaking for them. They said to us, that bad legislation is worse than no legislation at all. We need to get it right. And what happened was we got the architecture right, we got the institutions set up, we got the architecture, we had the HIU, the Historical Investigations Unit, we had the ICIR, basically a truth process, we had the oral archive, and we had the IRG, which is the reconciliation group. All of those set up, we had brought them to fruition, and what the British Secretary of State demanded was that she would have the power to decide what truth was given to the families in their reports, and that was unacceptable. The family said it was unacceptable, and that's why we didn't get sign up. And let me put that in context for you. This is the British Secretary of State, who at the present moment, she has attempted to block Carol Killen, the Minister for Culture, who's in charge of public records, has tried to stop her giving public records, which you would find in the Central Library in Belfast, find in the Linden Hall Library, find in the Public Records Office, has tried to prevent her giving that information to families, victims and survivors right across the community, right across that whole community, whether it's nationalist or unionist. Now, if that's what she's trying to do with basically information which is already in the public arena, then what would she do with the type of veto that she was trying to hold on to in terms of using the issue of national security to block information going to people? And as there was a statement put out by a number of the groups who human rights groups who were working along with families the other day, where they said that national security cannot be used to block giving the truth to families who have at times have been waiting for this for 4 decades and more. So that's the difficulty we have. We have said to the groups we will continue on this struggle. The British have been trying to block their part in this conflict for a very long time. They're trying to portray themselves as being facilitators. They are not facilitators. They were a combatant force in a long conflict, and people want to know the truth. That goes for right across the board, whether it's a Republican organisation, a loyalist organisation, a state organisation or whatever. We have said this should be, we have all agreed that this should be victim survivor centred. Then let's make it. But you cannot have a British Secretary of State in the one hand making a public statement saying that there will be full disclosure, and in the other hand putting into legislation that she will have a veto over what that truth means. And that's a difficulty. Now, it is no loss. We are going to continue on. We will return to this. Martin McGuinness met Theresa Villiers today and said to her, you should go and meet the families and listen to them and see what they have to say about this, and realise how deep the hurt is in families not being able to have the architecture set up which was agreed in the Stormont House Agreement, and she has agreed to go and meet them, and I hope that they will have a particular and personal effect on her. The answer to it was not hard. The answer to it was the police ombudsman already has the same power. They can bring out their reports and give them to the families. They can't be interfered with. Of course, there will be Article 2 compliant. There is no notion of any names being mentioned in it. If they give that power to what would become the new director of the Historical Investigations Unit, then the issue would be sorted. But they are not prepared to do that. If you go back to the Ballymurphy massacre over 40 years ago, what happened in the New Lodge in terms of the New Lodge 6 being killed is over 40 years ago too. If you go to King's Mill, if you go to a number of other incidents, some of them nearly and over 40 years ago, what possible relevance could they have to national security today in terms of all the advances made in terms of that? So that's the difficulty. We will try and overcome it. Of course, the other example of this, which was not dealt with in that architecture because we kept it outside, was the coroner's courts, which were in absolute gridlock. We need to give resources to that. But there's an example where, in terms of the inquest, the lack of inquest, the lack of disclosure in terms of all of that, which went through a number of chief constables, brought it to Europe, managed to get a bit more. Now, we will continue along with the families to pursue it in any avenue we can get to get more of the truth out. And the more truth that comes out, the more truth it actually liberates, because one piece of information is part of a jigsaw can go to another. So we will continue that on, but we will try and overturn that idea that a British Secretary of State would have a veto over the truth that goes out to families. It's crucial. It's at the core of all of this. There's huge disappointment, but alongside that disappointment, we'd be very, very clear about it. We took advice, we listened to the families, and we spoke for them in this. They said, do not sign up to flawed legislation, to bad legislation. We need the ability to get this truth, and we will continue on that struggle.